Now, joining me via Zoom to discuss the rights of women and how it can be amended in the Constitution is Executive Director, Invictus Africa and Human Rights Advocate, Buki Shonibari. Thank you so much for being on TVC Breakfast this morning. Constitution amendment with the interest of the women not exactly at heart. How have you been reading the latest developments in the National Assembly?
To say the least, it has been quite disappointing. Disappointing because before my generation, the generation way before me who have been fighting gender equality or for gender equality, have constantly fought for all of these rights that were thrown out or rejected through the bills that we saw. So for me, my immediate reaction when I saw that 4 of those 5 bills were actually rejected and the only one that actually got accepted was even not so satisfactory. And I think it is important for us and for Nigerians to understand that these are basic things. And so long as Nigerian women continue to fight for these rights, things that should be given, rights are mainly natural laws, things that should be given, the fact that we need to be fighting for it and men need to legislate on it and determine whether they accept it or not is actually a shameful pattern that we should be worried about.
Well, some of these bills that were put forward, is that to say that the thing is all of the policies for women, the women folk, are really falling on deaf ears? What reason can you exactly adduce to it?
I think let's go back to the bills, the 5 bills that made it to this point that were rejected. There was first the reserved seat bill. The reserved seat bill, which some people would call the special bill, actually sought to amend sections 48, 49, and 71 of the Constitution so that 111 seats can actually be reserved for women. Now, this does not threaten the existing structure. Countries like Uganda, South Africa, Rwanda, Tanzania actually use this kind of reserved seat quota kind of system just to make sure that there are more women that are actually participating in politics. There is actually also the one on citizenship, which actually sought to amend Section 26 of the Constitution. And with that, all we were asking for is that the same way a man has the right to be able to, so what we're asking for is that the women should be granted citizenship by registration to their foreign husbands, the same way men can. Section 26 of the Constitution actually provided for this for men, but men do not have this right. The third is actually on affirmative action. We have been fighting for 35% affirmative action. The least we should actually be fighting for is 50%. And 50% because Nigeria has a population of at least 50% women. Yet we keep fighting for 35%. And all we are asking for is that amend Section 223 of the Constitution so that political office, political party administration and appointive positions, 35% at least at the federal and state level can be for women, yet it was thrown out. The fourth is actually that every ministerial and commissioner nominees should actually have at least 35% women who should be nominated as for these positions. Only 20% was approved. That was the only bill that passed. And the last one was on indigenship. And the issue of indigenship cannot be overemphasized. What we are asking for was amend Section 31 and Section 318, subsection 1, which is the interpretation section, to allow women be able to claim the citizenship of their husbands after they have been married for 5 years. Now, back to your question, all of these facts that I've stated and the fact that these bills were thrown out boils down to one thing: the fact that Nigeria is still a deeply patriarchal system where men continue to determine what they believe is right for women. And we have been fighting this age long before now. And until we get to the point where we can change that mindset, the belief that women should actually be in the kitchen, women should be relegated to menial jobs, That belief, until we change that mindset, we will keep producing a crop of lawmakers who will keep rejecting bills that should have very given rights for women.
We'll examine some of these issues around women, saying the fact that we're in a patriarchal society, that's the reason it's very difficult for women to fight, to at least get something. We'll take that maybe one after the other. But before we start doing that, just to save the image of the National Assembly, the House of Representatives precisely, the Speaker actually fought to secure the 20% of ministerial and commissionership appointments for women. So is that to say that
as a matter of fact,
the women got at least something?
See, I don't want us to say at least something and we are satisfactory. Let me say something. This is the first time in the history of constitutional amendment, well, one of the first times that we would have these bills, these gender bills, get to the point of voting. A lot of times it doesn't even make it into the harmonized reports, to not even talk about getting it passed. I must say that yes, Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila did a good job, and if you watch the clips, you would see that he kept even trying to make sure that other members of the House at least got something. But should we be a society that says that women should at least get something? Look at those 5 bills. These are basics. Does it threaten, who really is afraid of gender equality? Does it threaten men the way they have? Because if you look at the House, you will notice that the House has over 95.6% men in the House. So these are the people deciding our fate. So we should not be a nation that says that, oh, at least women got something. The something women got was 20% for ministerial and commissioner nominee, even though we asked for 35%, and that's the only thing we got out of 68 amendment bills that was proposed for constitutional amendment. That little or that something we got is actually even good, but at least I think the members of the House really need to do better. Nothing stops them from granting those 5 bills, and it does not threaten anything. Rather, it gives women the opportunity to make over and contribute to Nigeria's development rather than actually destroying things. I think we really need to look inwards.
All right, Buki Shobanire, I would like you to hang on a bit. We'll definitely come back to you. We have a breaking news that is coming in of Nigerians in Ukraine who are faced with the disaster in Ukraine and Russia crisis that are arrived in Nigeria. And we have our correspondent, our foreign correspondent, Moyo Thomas, who is joining me live. Moyo, tell us the current situation in Abuja, where you are. What's the latest?
Hello.
Yeah, Moyo, what's the latest where you are?
Okay, so I'm at the Abuja airport where we just received the arrival of 411 Nigerians that just came in from Romania this morning. And behind me, if you can see behind me, we have them doing their normal checks for COVID-19. And earlier too, I spoke with the DG of NEMA, and he said that they've made provisions to ensure the onward movement for all of them to their various homes from here.
Good to know that some of them are back. What about those who are still stuck in other countries like Poland, Romania, Bucharest, etc.?
Okay, so this actually is a flight from Bucharest, but we are expecting the flight from Warsaw around 3 p.m. today, Nigerian time, between 3 and 4 p.m., and also the flight from Hungary. We're expecting both flights to land between 3 and 4 p.m. today. So we will be back to also give more updates once they arrive. But right now, we are happy that the first batch of evacuees are here, and they are also happy to be back in Nigeria from all the trauma they've gone through. And also earlier, while I was interviewing the Refugee Commission Federal Commissioner, he also said they will be providing psychosocial services for them to ensure that they can get out of the trauma they would have gone through while in Ukraine.
Because we are looking at some 8,000 Africans to be brought back, to be repatriated back to the country. Are they all Nigerians, or are there some other nationals of African continents there who just arrived today, or are they exclusively Nigerians?
Okay, so the provision by the federal government is for 5,000 Nigerians only, and the ones that arrived today are all Nigerians, verified Nigerians, as most of them have their travel papers, travel documents that indicates that they are Nigerians. So we expect only Nigerians to land in Nigeria.
Okay, so most importantly, what do you observe the mood when they, coming from a war-torn country, war-hit country precisely, and then coming back to the country? Have you been able to read their mood? Are they excited, or they feel nostalgic, or what feeling did you get?
Okay, while we can be sure that they are obviously traumatized, we can also see the sigh of relief on them that they are back in their country homes. They are actually right behind me, and I can see, you can also see their moods, that they are all relieved to be back home in Nigeria. But then the trauma they went through cannot be overlooked just like that.
Well, have you been able to speak with any of them? Did they give you any sort of experience as to what they, recount the experience they got there?
Most of them actually are shying away from talking to us on camera, but before we leave here, we'll get some interviews with them. Right now, they're still going through their profiling, which is really important for them now.
All right, TVC News correspondent Mayor Thomas, please keep close tabs on this for us. We'll definitely come back to you for more updates on this. So let's go back to our ongoing conversation about the Constitution Amendment as it affects the women folk in the National Assembly and Nigeria at large. I've been speaking with Invictus, the Executive Director, Invictus Africa and Human Rights Advocate, Buki Shobanire. Thank you so much for hanging on. And I know that you will also be happy to know that some of our family members are coming back to the country. But let's pick it up from where you left it. Will more women in government change anything in Nigeria?
I think what history has shown is that we have more women in politics does not mean that things will change automatically. And one of the things that we have realized is that even though that will not change things automatically, what that will mean is that we will have more women in positions of power to decide on issues that affect women. If most of the people, or if we have some form of parity in the House, that vote that went down on March 1st will not be the reality that we are talking about today. But most importantly, we need to realize that when we have more women in political offices and leadership positions, what that means is that the realities of women, the peculiarities of women, how issues affect women through the lens of a woman, through the prism of a woman, all of those things will be brought to fore. And when those things are brought to fore, so if you're deciding on issues around, for instance, state formation or local government autonomy, you are looking at it from the gender lens. And once you're able to look at it from the gender lens, it means that the issues that affect women peculiarly in that particular process will be brought to fore. So advantages of having women in political offices, in elective offices, in leadership positions cannot be overemphasized. It will not change things automatically, but it will definitely make sure that gender issues and women issues are considered in any decision that is made, whether at the federal level or at the sub-national level.
Well, we've got the 20% of some of which we alluded to earlier on, but considering the fact that the bills will be transmitted to the 36 states of the Federation after harmonization by both houses, are you not afraid that the minute that you feel that the women folk has got from this amendment might be defeated, might be thrown away at the end of the day, so that the women folk may not get anything? Are you afraid of this?
To be honest, I am. And that is because we still have that fundamental issue where women are considered those that should be relegated. So by the time you take it to the state, and even for us to get the Violence Against Persons Prohibitions bills passed, for us to get the Child Rights Act passed that even impact on girl children, it took a long time, a lot of advocacy. There are still states in Nigeria that till today has not passed the VAP Act, has not passed the Child Rights Act. And a lot of the issues that they bring to fore as to why they are not passing it are things that still are based on this fundamental issue of patriarchy. So yes, I have that fear that when it gets to the state, which is the next stage of the constitutional amendment process, it may still be thrown out. But we must realize that women are currently occupying the National Assembly, and what we're asking for is that there should be a recommittal of all of these 5 bills, so that it's 5 out of 68, so that the things that women are asking for would actually be granted, such that by the time it gets to the state level, we will. I was listening to the speaker, one of the speakers that spoke before I came on, and the person was talking about how it is the duty of women to actually, try to make people see their point. It's not our duty. Equality, gender equality should be a given. We mustn't always have to beg and fight for some of these rights to be granted. So
there you go.
I am afraid, but I am hoping.
Sorry to butt in, but there you go. Gender equality. This is something. Well, you also said earlier on that it's a patriarchal society in a National Assembly where you've got many men. I'm really, really wondering how this will get sailed through at the end of the day. But then when you say gender equality, religionists, those who are religious will say, who believe in creationism, that the man was created from the dust and women folk created from man. So how dare you say gender equality? Could you expatiate what those who are afraid of the concept gender equality, could you expatiate more so that they can understand what this actually means?
Let's go back to what gender equality actually really means. And we have gotten to the point where we are saying that gender equality should actually be equal access, to rights and opportunities, equal access to social goods. So it means that if men are not having certain restrictions or hindrances to be able to access, let's say, political office, social opportunities, economic goods, anything that does not create hindrance, we are asking that women should not have to face any hindrance. So let me use one of the examples of that of citizenship, where we are asking that women should be able to take up the citizenship of their husband. We've seen cases where women actually are denied, promotion or appointive position simply because that particular woman is married to somebody from another state. And so the woman cannot contest from her state or cannot seek promotion or appointment from her state, because she is believed to now belong to another state. Yet that other state still rejects that woman because she is believed to have originally come from a particular state. So what we are saying that some of these hindrances should actually be removed so that women would have equal access. And see, if men do not have these hindrances, then why should women have these hindrances? And that's what we are saying, that the Constitution, which is our apex law, should be able to provide for this, so that this patriarchy system, we use the law as an instrument, as a tool to fight or roll back this patriarchy system, so that women can have equal access and equal rights, just like their male counterparts.
Speak to the issue which people raise when they talk about this, gender equality or gender equity, or what have you. They would say political world, the political landscape is a place where you've got the men who will always meet in the dead of the night to talk about certain things, to make decisions. And the women folks are not meant to be there. They're supposed to be home and taking care of the children and some other family members. So is this also tenable when it comes to this conversation?
Who says those are the responsibilities or the duties of women? Who says it is a woman that should stay at home? Who says that it is the woman that should cook? Who says that it is the woman that should... Who says that it should not be both sexes or both husband and wife participating to make sure that this thing happens? We live in a society whereby gender norms, we have actually ascribed or allocated certain duties and responsibilities. This is what a man should do. This is what a woman should do. And based on that mindset, we keep using that as the basis for relegating women or subjugating women to the abyss of menial occupations. And what we are simply talking about also, based on the question that you have asked, is that one of the things that we have seen, even in women participating in political leadership, is that sometimes political meetings or critical meetings are set at a time where even this gender norm as to what we believe or society believes should be the responsibility of women, even all of this is not being achieved because these meetings are set at a particular time. I think once we can abuse our minds that these roles are not peculiar for women, then we will begin to move the needle.
All right, Buki, we've got just a few seconds to go, and I wanted to quickly weigh in on this. So what strategies are the CSOs, the women rights activists, your own group are bringing to the table, you putting in place? Is it just pickets in the National Assembly to drive home your point, or what strategies are you using to achieve this? Quickly.
One major thing that we are doing, other than currently protesting that there should be a recommittal of these bills so that they can be reconsidered and be voted on, is that we will continue to engage. Before we got to the point where these bills are actually committed for voting, we did a lot of lobbying, a lot of advocacy, a lot of sensitization, consultation. We will still go back to the drawing board and still continue to engage every relevant stakeholder, whether state or non-state stakeholders, so that we can get them to understand these issues and make sure that the proper decision is actually made.
Makes sense. Executive Director, Invictus Africa and Human Rights Advocate, Buki Shobanire, thank you so much for your time.
Shonibare.
Shonibare, thank you so much.